Ich darf Sie ganz herzlich begrüßen und versuche jetzt auch gleich ins Englische zu switchen, denn für unsere Gäste findet der Talk heute in englischer Sprache statt. So welcome to the live stream of our artist talk. With this talk we start the exhibition of Nicolás Combarro, Recordings from the Underground at the Maximiliansforum. I'm Diana Ebster. I work for the Department for Arts and Culture of the city of Munich. And the Maximiliansforum is one of the 6 artist spaces for the free scene that the department runs. With its special situation being located in a public underpass, it is a showcase that offers insights to artistic projects and the design scene of Munich and beyond. Together with artists and other curators, I am planning the program of the Maximiliansforum, and so I am glad that we have the opening of Nicolás Combarro's exhibition curated by Yara Sonseca Mas today. The impetus for this idea came from Nicolás' Residency that the Villa Valberta, the residency program of the city of Munich, offered him at the beginning of this year. Thanks to Dr. Martin Roma at this point. With the initiative of the colleague Laura Sanchez-Serrano, the contact came about between Nicolás Combarro, Yara Sonseca Mas and the Maximiliansforum. With his latest project, in which the artist, Nicolás Combarro, focuses on the recent Spanish history of the Franco regime, he makes an important contribution to artistic research. At the same time, his project leads us to questions we also know from our own discussion on the German history of the Third Reich, a discussion that has to be continued. It is also a challenge for artists to initiate new perspective on this important public discussion. Nicolás Combarro focuses on the architecture of concentration camps, which is mostly lost or only exists in few remains. And with different media, he creates his own work in giving these remains a voice and let them start talking about their hidden history. We will hear more about this in the following talk with Yara Sonseca Mas, Nicolás Combarro, and their 2 guests, students from the Academy of Fine Arts. At this point, I would like to thank everyone who was involved in the realization of the project and its program. First of all, thanks once again very much to Nicolás Combarro and Yara Sonseca Mas, and also to Michael Burs, who was the secret translator or doing the, final touches to the translation and texts. To Miguel Angel Delgado, who his video work gave as well to the exhibition, being part of the artistic dialogue at the exhibition. And thanks to the students of the Academy of Fine Arts Munich who participated in this project and created also their impact to the exhibition in contact with Nicolás Combarro. And so to tell the names, it was Carmen Arias, Catarina Predel, Essi Pelica, Sandra Bejarano and Pierre-Yves Delaunay. And also thanks to their professor Hermann Pitz, who can't join us today for the talk, but he was important for the support of the project. Our special thanks to the Instituto Cervantes and the NS-Doku-Zentrum in Munich for their cooperation for the events and also for the translations. Thanks to Josef Köttl for his expertise during the setup of the sculptural elements of the exhibition. And thanks a lot as well to Simon Brucker and his colleague for the technical setups, the preparation of the projections and the live stream. And also thanks to Nicolas Burger. Thanks to my colleague, Stefanie Liakini-Schönweitz, who gave us her intern support for the coordination of the live stream together with Janina Totzauer. To Karin Zwack, who takes care for our website and the social media, and also thanks to Barbara for taking the photographs. And last but not least, thanks to all guests of the evening who are watching us. The exhibition and its program runs until September 26. And we are looking forward to your being interested in following it. And now I'm looking forward to hand over the microphone to Nicolás, Yara, and their guests. And I hope you join us in the next weeks with this exhibition. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Diana, for the introduction, and thank you all to be there. I will just briefly introduce Nicolás, as he had the chance to show his work in Germany. In Munich, in particular, in 2014, in a site-specific project he made in the Kreativquartier, in a collective project called Under the Construction, but probably you are not very aware of his work. He was exhibiting internationally at the Maison Européenne de la Photographie in Paris. That was 2 years ago, was that? He had solo shows in institutional venues like the Centro Galego de Arte Contemporáneo in Santiago de Compostela, Caixa Forum in Barcelona, Madrid, different solo shows in Spain and abroad. Also, he took part of the Manila Biennale, in a special project also in the Architectural Biennale in Venice. So, well, this is just, I think, maybe more interesting to focus in this project now we are today presenting, but just to give you a little bit of a glimpse on the work that he did in the past. As Diana was pointing out, introducing the artistic practice of Nicolás focuses on architecture and the concept of construction in a wide sense, documenting architectural spaces and or activating them through the direct intervention of the spaces when that's possible, or through the alteration of the photographic image, preparing collages or collage-wise or interventions. Combarro aims to reveal their historical memory. Intriguing audiences' perception on the structures, voids, and skin of the architectures, Nicolás unveils their content, questioning their historical and social meanings, both in the past and in the present times. This is the core of his practice, and it was always present from the very beginning of it. Now, what we are presenting here is a step forward into this direction, but focusing in a very particular topic, as Diana was saying at the beginning, on the recent history of Spain, and in particular around the Franco-Dictatorship time and repression. So maybe before to continue, you can just tell us, Nicolás, a little bit how you came into this topic, which is so present today, nowadays, in the in the current situation of Spain, as in the Parliament there had been discussions recently about this question, and how you come into this in particular.
Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank you, Diana, and the Kulturreferat and Maximilians Forum for the invitation to do not only the exhibition, but all the project we are doing, Carmen and Katarina for being here, and other students from the Academy that are behind the scenes, Benedict that is here that also helped with the project. So yeah, the topic is being raised lately in Spain. I think the last 10 years, it has become more intense in the last 2 years, because with the new government, there has been like they reformed the law of what we call Ley de Memoria Histórica, the historical memory law, And they have provided new possibilities, new budget to kind of go deeper into this subject. But the problem, of course, is political. Because, as we know, is something that has not been at all confronted as a nation, as a state in Spain. So it has been like something that has been always used between the left and the right, kind of how to deal with it, because it was, in my point of view, part of this transition, political transition in the 70s that was not very well done in the sense of how to confront historical memory. They decided to kind of, because they needed to do an amnesty in both sides, they decided to force like an amnesia, like to try to forget what happened and to move forward in a wrong way, because you cannot move forward if you haven't confronted what happened before. No? So this is something that has been always there. No, I think in discussions, political discussions, social discussions into the families. I think the strongest strength or the strongest effort has been done by the families themselves to try to recover the memory of the relatives, not only the memory, but the bodies of the relatives. Because as we know, there is an enormous number of mass graves in Spain that are now being little by little uncovered, but still are many, many bodies underground, unidentified. 5 years ago, there was like this very, very powerful idea that putting the numbers together, Spain is the second country after Cambodia having the most unidentified bodies underground yet. So, of course, that's very, very strong. The family is trying to recover the bodies, then to recover the memory, then to put things kind of more straight, so what happened historically, because there were people that were not killed, but they were, their jobs were being taken, or they were imprisoned for decades just because of their ideas. So that's something we have to deal with also. So there is many steps to be done yet. We are kind of at the first step yet. Talking from my point of view, I think of our generation is responsible to face these facts and to kind of dig into it and do the research and to reivindicate the memory to be dealt with from different points of view. So, of course, politically, historically, socially, but also from the arts and from the intellectual. There has to be work being done. I think that's a responsibility. At least I feel it as an artist. I don't mean that all the artists have to confront it or all the artists have to do a political work, but at least as individuals, we have to face this reality. That's why I decided to kind of confront it. It's not the first time that I work with this context. I worked on a movie like 8 years ago about an anarchist called Felipe Emilio Sandoval. And in that time, it was the time before the war and during the war until the 39. And now I'm focusing more on what happened after the 39, after the war, the civil war ended, and the system of repression was settled by Franco's movement, what we call el movimiento. With, of course, the relationship with other fascist countries at the time, like Germany and Italy, but also with the kind of the blind eye of many other countries around, no? Which is kind of very strong fact to confront. So it's very complex. It's very difficult to talk about this to synthesize this. But from my point of view, I think we have to give as many approaches as we can, different points of view from different people, from different sides. So it can be a book, it can be a film, it can be an exhibition, it can be a talk. But I think this has to be raised. This question has to be raised. We have to talk about it openly. I think we have to learn from models from other countries that have done better than us.
I don't know if you have the same feeling. For me, it was quite impressive to realize that many people in this context are completely unconscious about the duration of the dictatorship in Spain, that it was 40 years, about the facts that in Spain there had been existing concentration camps in a very big number, and about all these questions. So actually I think I feel very lucky that we had this opportunity to raise these questions, particularly in the German context, because as Diana was pointing out in the introduction, many countries in Europe, we share, sadly, a past, but in most of the cases we don't know about each other's. And in the end, this is information that should be shared, and that indeed I do believe might help also in the process of getting together as a community in general. And well, once you started with this topic, I think it's clear what you said, that your main focus is in your research. You are trying to still, or you are still in the process, and this is the name we wanted to give to the talk, about the process of setting up this exhibition, a process of setting up this project. You are trying you are in the attempt of investigating or researching different ways of sharing this information through your practice as an artist. It could be a video, an installation, text, a film, and it's like a process. It's ongoing, how you are still trying to think what is the best vehicle, so to say, to make this information, share it, and share it in general with the audience, but also with the people in a closer context. And in this, this is maybe a good moment to introduce to Carmen Arias and Catarina Predel. Both of them are students at the Akademie der Kunst here in Munich, in the class of Hermann Pitz. And because of this, what we are talking about, how Nicolás wants to, or it is in this process of research, from the very beginning it was our idea to do this exhibition, or better say, this project, not as an exhibition or as a, doesn't matter, a book or whatever, but that you work in Madrid and then bring it here and that's it. But from the very beginning, we wanted to find a way to share these informations. The more, the better, and so on. And I think this is incredible. When Nicolás was already here in the Villa Valberta, in the residency, that was clear that you will come and you will have the time to do your research. Completely by chance, it happened that the Akademie was contacting you through Carmen to be in Munich. And it happened that luckily we managed to do both things at the same time. So I think it could be very interesting, Carmen, if you can tell us how is this working in the Academy, how it came up, and how it was, the process.
Yeah, of course. I think at the moment I was also pretty new, because I came as an Erasmus in 2019, so I think it was kind of like my first semester or the second, and I also didn't know actually how all of this was working, but a friend of mine who was in the convent, because so there are some groups in the Academy, so Akademie der Bildenden Künste in Munich, and actually the students have the opportunity to invite professors, to invite artists as guests, etc. And a friend of mine, as I was an international student, as I was an Erasmus, she asked me if I could recommend some artists maybe from Spain or from other countries, in order to invite them for the next semester as guest professors. And actually, I actually didn't know a lot about Nicolás or about his pieces, about his oeuvre, but I think somebody in our class presented some pieces of him, and I don't know, it just it just seemed like it fit to the work I was doing at the moment, or to my interest at the moment, because, well, at the moment I didn't know that it has this this political weight and this historical weight, and I just saw it in an architectural way and in a really aesthetic, photographic way. And then I did a little research on him, and he was actually Spanish. He was actually from North Spain, which is where I came from. And of course, when you're in another country and you hear about the people also from Spain, then it's also super nice. And yeah, then I contact him, and he emailed me back, I think right away, like a couple of days afterwards. And I was also like super surprised about how near it was being and how easy everything was going. And then actually we didn't need anybody else because this process was already closed. But I talked with my professor, and it was like, hey, like this happened. Is there any way we can invite him maybe to give a talk in our class or something? And just not invite him as a guest professor, but invite him, to do something in our class, in the class at Pitts. Because also each class of the Academy has a budget in order to do this kind of things. And so we did, and we offered him, you can maybe give a talk or a seminar or whatever. But he was from the beginning really like, no, I want to do a collaborative piece. I don't want to talk too much. I want to do with you guys something. And it was, of course, like you say, like super lucky that he was already here. And then I also had the opportunity to go to the Villa Valberta and visit him there and have a nice talk with him. And so everything started on the good foot, I will say, and was pretty easy to organize it.
Yeah, it was nice also when you came to the Villa Valberta, and finally, because we were talking a lot, but I couldn't see her work. So she showed me the work, and it had like a lot of sense, your approach to kind of a contemporary archaeology and the way you were treating this reality also. It was very interesting because there were many links. I don't know if it has something to do with us trying to, to dig into a reality around us, but the practice was interesting also, the crossing practice.
And Catarina, how it was for you also? I mean, then suddenly Carmen came up with this idea, Nicolás Combarro, the work. How it goes? Then you share it as a group, you decide to, how it was the next step, so to say.
Okay, yeah, so, in the beginning it was Carmen, like, promoting a bit the thing, and then there was an email going around that there will be a workshop. And for me, honestly, this was the first motivation to join the project, because it was like the first thing that could happen in real life after the lockdown. It was really one of the first things we could meet in person. So I was interested. So that was the first thing. And then we had this 2 days workshop, and we talked a lot about memory, about the German and the Spanish way to deal with history, and it was super interesting. It was just super interesting. It was like, we were like a quite international group. We had Germans, French, Spanish. Who else? That's it, right? We had these 3 or 4 nationalities discussing. So it was like we were super motivated to start something together, right? It was, that was the beginning. And then it was already clear that there will be this exhibition in Maximiliansforum. And Nicolás told us a lot about the places. I don't know if you want to talk about the pieces later, but he told us about his ideas about the places and the monuments, and so we were discussing together how to realize something, and that's how it started in the end. or not in the end, in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was the beginning.
Also was Herman and Diogo, no? Diogo da Cruz and Herman Pitts, they were helping a lot, and we could manage to do the workshop physically, which also was for me very, because I was at Villa Valverta a bit kind of closed, because at that time it was not possible to move around so much. So my idea of coming here was really coming to the city, going to the archives, etc., and that couldn't happen. So for me, I needed also kind of real contact, and also this was a privileged contact with other artists to talk about it and to, express what I was thinking about it, but also hear what they could think about it. Also Herman, I have to say, because we spent a lot of days together, he was super helpful, giving his point of view also from his generation, and also because he had done a piece about a labor camp also some years ago. So for me, the Academy was kind of the oxygen also to breathe when I was here. If not, I was kind of a bit lost into this archival thing, which is very heavy. Also, because the memory here, I feel the memory here is very alive. You can talk with anyone. Everyone is kind of ready to confront it in some way because they have already done it. In Spain, it's an issue, as you know, that is not always comfortable. You cannot bring this into a dinner. This will completely, stop everything because we don't know how to deal with it, right? So it was interesting for me, or necessary for me, to have this interaction. And also, when we thought of doing a workshop and we had the exhibition, we thought about it. It was like, okay, it's the ideal location to really build a bridge in a way between artists that are working here and artists that are working in Spain, because it's only me, but also Miguel Ángel Delgado, whose piece is also in the exhibition. I think there is a video of the exhibition that we can maybe see while we talk. And so we decided if we could do some of the pieces of the exhibition that they will make them physically from the kind of the measurements of the original. It's not exactly monuments, but they are these kind of constructions. One of Castuera, of the Castuera concentration camp, there was a pedestal for the cross of the concentration camp, which is the only architectural remain in the whole area. The rest is completely hidden. And the other one is from the Carabanchel prison. It was a political prison, and they destroyed it some years ago. But the association of the families of the prisoners, they decided to build like a model of the panopticon of the original shape of the prison with bricks and cement. So we thought of how to do the negative. We had some ideas, some crazy ideas too. And at the end, there was building two negatives of it. One is more little because the shape is not the jail, but only a model. The other one is the real original size of the pedestal. I think the process was very hard because they had to do it by themselves, because I have to go back to Spain. Also, I have to go back to the camps and work on them because I was doing other pieces with ruins, pieces of the architecture, of the original architecture of these spaces, and we were talking about it, and they had to deal with it. I'm super thankful to all of you guys for that. And there is, I think, for me, there is a strong presence on the fact that they built it, also with their hands and their effort. Because, as you say, for me it was nonsense. Already the idea of an exhibition like that, it didn't have much sense, so it was more of an open process because we are in the middle of a research and not at all something we have accomplished yet. So it's an approach, as you say. And also because this kind of absence of this memory that we have in Spain is even more present here because, as we were talking before, there is not a lot of knowledge of what happened in Spain here. So it's kind of, okay, why don't we do something that will that we help to question ourselves as persons, as our artists, but also that can bring or raise questions to the people who sees it. No? When you see the pieces, you ask yourself, what is this about? I mean, there's a trace of something, no? What is this something? And then it drives you to read and to trying to understand, and I mean, I hope to discover that reality.
I think it was quite impressive, and I also want to ask you, Carmen and Caterina, if you have the same perception or if it's different for you. For me, it was quite, I mean, of course, because you and I, we were talking a lot, thinking how could be the best approach. From the beginning, we agreed that this should be an approach on the process and the information in the first line, so that's why we did it like this. Residency, exhibition, talks that are coming later in September. So it was clear from the beginning that this was not about to do a survey or a kind of works that you do and then you bring it here, as I said before, and then it's done. But that we had to find this anchor, these ways of sharing and linking to other people and other. But even though that was from the beginning the idea, and we are saying it, and we know it's a process, and etc., there is a moment that happens when you have the works, and you have to set them in a space, physically. And for me, it was very, like, kind of impressive once we finished, more or less, to place everything, and to see how those objects suddenly were so incredibly strong. I mean, that after talking about that so much, and then you see it there physically, and that presence is like coming together with all the content, and then it was like, I don't know, like very impressive. Also because we know the work that is behind, the hours, etc. And I guess that, I don't know how it was for you, because you were also as well working on a piece, but working in the Academy there, I mean, you know, alone, because Nicolás was in Spain and so on. But then suddenly the moment arrived, when you are here and you bring it, and it's like putting everything together. And I don't know how you were feeling or what you feel about that. I mean, the whole thing, no? I mean, picking up the works, just to transport, setting up here, and now see the whole thing together.
Well, this is my first time in the space, like today, and I just arrived, and well, at first I had to put on glasses because it was super dark and I wasn't seeing anything, but it was, I mean, astonishing. It was such a surprise because, of course, the last time I saw the pieces, it was as we were taking them into a truck in the Academy, I don't know, like last week or something, I cannot remember, but I mean, it looks like something else at all. Like, I don't know, it's the light, the place, just like going down the stairs there and seeing these mechanical stairs that, I don't know, it looks like kind of like an abandoned U-Bahn station, and you see like these trees going out of the stairs. It's such a crazy place, and I'm also like so surprised that I've never seen it, because I've been down this street like 1,000 times, and I mean, yeah, and I'm really happy about the result, and I'm really surprised about it and how it works. And it's, I mean, I think I was talking about it with you guys before, that it looks really like so theatralic. It really looks like kind of like a theatralic stage, and how you said it, now it's activated because now it's in the space, now it's something else. Like, this doesn't feel like as like the same objects with which we're playing with in the garden from the Academy. You want to add something?
No, yeah. I mean, for me, it's quite the same. So I think, like, going back to that workshop, we all left. I mean, we had met, right, in person. We had discussed, and we had all those ideas, and we were like, I think we were full of motivation, and then we all like spread somehow, right? You went back to Spain, and we had different projects as well. I mean, we had like exams to do and stuff. So this was a bit like, we tried to make it happen, right? I mean, and like material was falling apart, things did not arrive in time, so it was really like, well, it was a process. So it was really like we were hardworking, and as Carmen said, like seeing those things in the academy, it did not do the thing. It did not do the job. It was like, it was objects. It was not the things we discussed during the workshop. But like, I came here this morning because I was super curious to see them. So I came here this morning and I was like, wow, that's what we were talking about. And I had this feeling for the very first time since the workshop. So yeah, it somehow worked out what we did. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I think it raises a question which is very interesting about the artistic practice when we deal with subjects like this. You are working on an idea, no? And it's only when the idea is kind of portrayed together, then you see it like a mirror. But in between the process, because for you it was hard, but for me it was super hard too. Well, yet first not to be here was super frustrating, but I was also working in the same places that you were represented, but I was working physically there because I went to Castuera 2 or 3 times, and to Carabanchel because it's very near my studio. I was going every week. And these pieces are completely abandoned and a bit destroyed. So I will like take care of them, take the vegetation out, and etc. And photographing them and measuring them, and then I'm doing the positives, taking them from the ruins. So it was very strong, the feeling I had in the space, and for them it was the absence of that feeling. But for me also, the idea of them working here will calm me. In the sense of, okay, this is not being alone in a way. No, it's like, okay, each one is in one side, kind of, with a wall in between. But I was always like with this idea in mind. Not at the end it's gonna happen, and the end is gonna be accomplished. But for the better or the worst, the process is what it is. I mean, there's things that are more easy and more positive, and things that are hard to understand or to assume. And also ways of working that could be always better, and also working in a collective manner is that. But we wanted not this exhibition to be charged of other energies also. I don't know. I couldn't do this exhibition without that, and I'm kind of in love with that piece. Which is kind of, for me also was a surprise. I remember when you showed the pictures and everything, it looks very nice, but when I went to the Academy, I saw it, when you took it out of the positive, I couldn't believe it. It was more than I expected. And again, it's this kind of, the idea you have and the reality you're confronting, and when that reality gets triggered, or activated. And I think that's the only thing about art that could be interesting for us, because then once it is here, it's for other people. When we live the present, then you live it here for 2 or 3 months, and then you don't know what happened. You don't know how people are going to confront it, if that's going to trigger something in them, which I hope so. That's why we also work on a whole concept of the exhibition. There's also the 3D projection, which was from the camp of Castuera. Castuera is in Extremadura, so near the frontier with Portugal. And it was one of the most terrible concentration camps, because it was in the middle of nowhere and people were really, really dying around. And there is many dark stories I won't tell about. But also it's the only camp, the territory is protected, it's BIC, so you cannot build on it. It's the only one in Spain that has these statues, but there is nothing else. Everything is hidden. There's only the pedestal, and again, the idea. So you go there and you project yourself into what could have been that. Of course, you will never touch that reality, but it has a lot of responsibility and weight to think that you are working with the memory of people, It's true that I always work with architecture, but I work with architecture because architecture is made by people for people. So I normally work with places that are for people to live inside, but this is the first time I work with the spaces that are made for repression, for violence. And it's completely different, and it's much more powerful and much more difficult. Art is always not a perfect tool, but has also a kind of an emotional capacity sometimes to trigger something. So that's what I think we were looking for. I don't know, we got it.
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, I hope that people is intrigued about all these facts and all what's happened in Spain, and maybe also opening up a path to think or rethink about their own memory, historical memory, but also about the present. I mean, because in the end, these topics, repression, and I mean, is something that is sadly very present in different parts of the world and constantly is there, and is I mean, it's in the end, it's a very deep topic that touch or should touch everyone because it's there. It's part of how well, life, society, and so on, etc. Well, but we have to kind of finish a little bit. But what I wanted to say, just as an end, is that even though Nicolás will not be always here, or Catarina or Carmen, but I will be here offering guided tours. I will do my best to transmit your practice and all the information I was compilating, and everyone is very welcome to join all those tours. All the information is in the Maximilians Forum website and in different media. And then, and this is really very important, I think, to say, in September, Nicolás will be back, and we are organizing a series of talks that will take place the 22 of September, 21st? No, 22nd and 23rd of September. No? 20, well.
It's on the website.
It's on the website. One of the talks are at the Architektur Pavilion, the pavilion of the Architektur Museum, and the other ones will take place in the Ernest Dokutzentrum Auditorium. I think it's in September 22nd and 23rd, if I'm not wrong. And they are open to the public, and we will have guests from the filmmakers, historians, and also institutional workers that might, from both Germany and Spain. So the idea is to open this dialogue and to share the experiences and to try to learn about, from the artistic perspective, but also from the institutional perspective, about the different ways you approach memory and how you can do that. To give the information, share the information, but at the same time being respectful with the past, but etc., etc. Everyone is welcome. It's really very difficult to say this in a brief way, but yeah. I don't know if you want to add anything else to.
I think everything is pretty much said.
Yeah.
But yeah, just take the opportunity to thank you guys, of course, for the opportunity and for being here, and everything.
So that's it. So thank you very much. 22nd of September, 23rd. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.